Hey guys, it is me, Blair. I'm here for day 5 of my weekly videos. So today I thought that I would talk to you about lists. Now, at the beginning of the year, I made tons and tons of lists of the books that I was going to read and I was going to get off my shelf, and the books that I was going to buy and things like that. And I'm constantly making lists. Although most recently they have died down a bit, and I have a few wish lists on both my computers, and yeah. So I'm consciously thinking a little bit better about how I spend my money, so that I don't have an insane 2 rooms full of books. So basically, at the beginning of the year, I did those lists, and if there has been one thing that I have learnt this year about my reading habits, is that I should not overplan. I think reading is one of those things that you can kind of have a very brief idea of what you want to read, but I don't think it's one of those things that you should just totally plow through and plan. And I just did it too much, and after a couple of months I burned out because I wasn't following my plan. My mood changed, my thoughts changed, the books that I wanted to read changed. So, and therefore a lot of my challenges I'm reviewing now, and I'm very behind. So there are a few challenges that I would still like to stick with. There are 2 that I'm definitely not going to be able to complete because I just know within myself that I'm not, which is the sophomore reading challenge, which is where you read the second book in the series of books that were published last year. And I have a whole plan for that kind of thing, but I just don't think I'm going to get to the second book in the series, especially since I have a lot of the first book still to read, and it's August. So, also the Harry Potter reading challenge. I don't see myself reading any more Harry Potter books this year. I might try and attempt to read the 3rd book, possibly the 4th, but I'm just not in a Harry Potter mood, and there are other books that I really would like to get to this year, both review and my own, so that's not going to happen. But I do foresee myself being able to complete the 2 challenges that I first set out to do this year, which is, I believe, the I think it's called Kill the 2BR pile. I'm just going to find it here. I'm not prepared. Sorry guys, my brain is just today. Kill the 2BR challenge, and this is hosted by Lindsay Mead. And I've decided to do this challenge because obviously I have a room full of books that need to be read, and I wanted to kind of mix the sophomore challenge with the books to be read so I could get them off my shelf. And these books have been on my shelf since last year because I think majority of them were published last year. So, looking back, I'm not doing too bad with my challenge there. It is August and I am only 4 books down. So I thought I'm going to show you the books that are on my list here. So I'll just show you the ones that I plan to read and still would like to read this year. I have Delirium, which is the first book in the series. These are all first books. And obviously I've heard nothing but good things about this book. I don't think I've really heard anything bad about it. I think people have a little bit of trouble with it, but most people love this book. And I love this cover, and I really like to get to it this year because I have been wanting to read it for a long time, but just kept pushing it down. So, Delirium. That's by Lauren Oliver, but I'm pretty sure you guys already know this by now. And then I have Wither by Lauren DeStefano, and I do have the second book in this series. And I've tried to pick this up. I haven't tried to read it, but I've picked this up and added it into my TBR piles all through the year, and just never got to it. I've heard mixed things about it, so it's probably why I've been a bit iffy and not so looking forward to it, because there's been a lot of controversy around the novel, and I tend to steer away from books that have too much negative controversy. Even though I'm stubborn and I love to read that kind of thing, I would really I think this is a book, from what I've heard, that you really need to be in the mood to read it, otherwise you're not going to really take much from it. And me being in pain right now, definitely not one I'm going to pick up too soon, but one that I'm going to read by the end of this year. I would really love to just read it, because the premise does sound interesting to me, so that's better. I know a lot of people have commented and sent me PMs saying, when are you going to read with her? Well, I'm hoping that I read it this year. That's my aim anyway. So the next book that I have to read, which I'm pretty sure is going to be coming up very, very soon, because I don't know how I haven't read it yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. I love the cover. And I believe that the second one is out already, so I want to get to it so I know whether to purchase a copy, and obviously I'm going to buy it in hardback cover because it would be stupid not to. I don't mind spending a bit more money because I would rather just have it matching. And I love that it's in red. It's just awesome. And I'm thinking that this will most likely be October-y kind of thing, September, October. I'll see if I don't read it anytime sooner, because it feels to me like a, kind of themey Halloween book. And I think I was going to read it last year, but I never got around to it, or it was not published then. But I'm really excited to read it, so therefore, yeah. And like I said, I would like to read it soon, because, yeah. And I think Supernatural, the series, is coming back in October, so I'm going to love October. It's going to be awesome for Supernatural stuff. So, awesome! Then I have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, which I was freaking out to get my hands on this book. I ended up getting it off Amazon, and I still haven't read it yet. I've heard very, very, very mixed things about this book. The size of it is really thick, and yeah, it's 500 pages, but I'm looking forward to reading it. I need to get myself excited about it again. But definitely one that I think, probably September, October read again, because it looks very dark and mysterious. And lastly for that challenge, The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. And this one really interests me because for me it feels like it's a little bit different. And it's fantasy, so I really like me a little bit of fantasy, and it sounds a little bit historical. I don't think it's historical, but it sounds like that kind of era sort of thing. So, looking forward to reading this, and I love the cover too. And this is another one that I want to read it before I buy the second book, because I have a habit of wanting to get everything in the series, when they come out, and I don't think that's very practical for me, because if I don't enjoy a book, I'm going to have another book sitting on my shelf, and I'll feel like I have to read it. For instance, I read The Iron Witch just before, and I already own The Wood Queen, and I really didn't like The Iron Witch, so I spent money on a book that I really didn't like just so that I had it there. But obviously, if I start reading it and I really like it, I'll definitely pick up the next book straight away, or put it on order. So those are the books that I'm going to try and read to kill my TBR pile. And if I can complete this to be read pile, I'm really, really happy, because it takes a lot to be able to work off the books you already have without buying books or review books. It's it's hard. I know, I understand. So I chose level 1, which is 1 to 10, A Firm Handshake. And I'll talk about the other series books the first in the series books that I've read this year, before these ones a little bit later. But now I'm going to move on to the Zombie Challenge, which I believe is hosted by Book City chick. I have these things on these tabs on the bottom of my blog, but a lot of them say that the photo is currently unavailable, so I'm just trying to get there. It's hosted by Book Chick City, and it's called the Zombie Challenge 2012. And I chose one chomp, read 6 books in 2012. And this is my original list, if you can see it here. But I've also crossed out The Dead Toss Ways because it's the second book in the series, and Generation Dead because I really don't feel like reading that. I'm still tossing up whether to read Brain Shaker because it's on my Kindle. But if you see here, I'm also meant to be reading Die For Me, which is in my to be read pile, but I also have it in my zombie challenge. And before anyone starts, I don't care if it's not technically a zombie book. To me, it feels, and they mentioned zombies, so I would just thought I'd cross off to. I know it's kind of cheating, but I will. So these are the books that I wanted to read, and these are the books that I'm going to read. Sticking fairly close to the collection that I chose, I have Working Stiff by Rachel Caine. I'm yet to read anything by Rachel Caine, but I bought this earlier on in the year knowing that it was a zombie book, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reading something about zombies like that. I love the cover. Ashes by Isa J. Bick. This is actually my partner's book, and I've actually stolen it and had it on my shelf for some time, so he probably forgets that he even owns it. But yeah, when I heard about this book, I wasn't too keen to read it, but I've heard some really awesome reviews on it throughout the year, and that's why I took it off my partner's shelf, because I'm like, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll try it. So, and it's a fairly decent book, like decent sized font. And so that will be one of the books that I read this year. Definitely this one. I've been wanting to read this for a while. I keep thinking about it. It's called Zombie Apocalypse, and it's created by Stephen Jones. And I think this will be a fairly, I won't say quick read, but a different read and an interesting read, and it'll take me out of my comfort zone because it's constructed in a lot of different ways. It's got emails, pictures, things like that. It's more of a visual book, transcripts, text messages and stuff like that. So it's an interestingly put together book about the a zombie apocalypse, obviously. It looks really awesome. I picked this up for $5, so, and I think I'll probably start with this, or I might actually read it in between the books so that I have a little bit of a break. That's something a bit more visual rather than heavy in text. So that's one of the books I want to read. Obviously, Die For Me by Amy Plum. Definitely want to read this book. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I've been meaning to get the second book until I die because the cover is so awesome. But I'm not paying $15, $16 for a paperback. No way, no how. If I'm going to pay $16, I'm going to buy a hardback copy off Book Depository because that's just the way I roll. But if I do, if I get more than halfway and like this book, this will be the next book that I pick up from Book Depository. So, yes. The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan. I know this is a really old book to read. I've heard some things about it. I've heard mixed things about it. I love the cover. It's so beautiful and simple. And it seems like a really short book, so... And I think, yeah, most of these are actually first books in series 2, so I'm really bad. I'm going to have 20 different series that I've started and leaving half the other series I've already started years ago behind because I'm starting a new series all the time. I can't help it. But yeah, so that's The Forest of Hands and Teeth, which I believe is the first book. I hope I'm not wrong. Oh. And lastly, Feed by Mara Grant. It is a monster, but I love the cover and I've been wanting to read this one for a long time. I'm actually kind of looking forward to just sitting down for a couple of days and just reading at my own leisure, at my own pace, and feeling... I love reading thick books like this when I give myself permission to take the time to read it. If not, I start to get panicky and I go, oh my god, this is so big, I have to get through it. But scarily enough, when books like this, I tend to get through it a lot better and a lot faster because I think when I read small books, it's like, yeah, this is only going to take me a day, it's only going to take me a few hours, and I read like 20 pages and there's, 60, 70 left, and I go, I want to drag this out, this book's so short, I don't want to finish it really fast, I want to enjoy it, so, whereas this I can take that time, and yeah. So I'm hoping I really like this book, because then I'll pick up the next book in the series, and it's so pretty, so yeah. So those are the books that I would like to read, and like to get off the challenge. If I do have time to read Bone Shaker by Sherry Priest, I probably will. It's on my Kindle, like I said, so possibly I might be able to mix it up a little bit. The books that I am currently reading, according to Goodreads, because obviously I don't know what I'm reading, I am reading 20's Girl by Sophie Kinsella, and that is for our Brewing Teabag book group. I'm going to put the link below. I am still under 100 pages. I haven't been reading it, I'm so bad, but I just haven't been in the mood for a chick lit book, so I'm hoping that within the next couple of days I will be tired enough and want to just take a break from something heavy and just go, yep, I'm going to plow through most of this book. So I'm kind of procrastinating as well. I'm also reading Mr. Shakespeare's Bastard by Richard B. Wright, and I really love this book so much that I don't want to read it because I don't want to end it, and that's really bad because it's a library book and I have to take it back very soon. But every time I read it, I don't want to move, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to do anything, I just want to sit there and read, and most of the time I have to do other things, so I don't want to sit there and start reading it and know that I have to do something else, because, yeah. And I'm still reading Welcome Call, This Is Chloe. I've been reading it on the bus, and I'd really like to just spend a day reading it, because it's a good book, but I've been reading more of my physical books lately, and yeah. And this one, I've been reading this one since, I think, June, before I moved, or after I moved, so I need to get that read. So, I'm sorry guys, this is such a big video, but, I like making long videos, I like talking to you guys, I like sharing my things. So, if you guys have these still on your bookshelves to read, pick it up, because maybe we can kind of do a little challenge, like a mini challenge, and we can read it together, and then we can talk about it at the end of the month, or something like that. I would really like that. So, if you guys haven't read any of these books, let me know, and we can read them together, and we can share our knowledge and share our experiences at the end of the month. So I just said that. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying these videos. Let me know if you are, and any suggestions for other book videos. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching and staying with me, and I shall talk to you later. Bye.